Alright, we're back with Deathgate. Last time we managed to escape the Dynast Cletus the 14th's castle by possessing a dog and doing actually a very cool puzzle that I wish in hindsight that I didn't brute force, because it was actually quite cool had I been really kind of paying attention to exactly what was on the screen. We did end up brute forcing it though, and I will have to live with that. But, this guy here is Balthazar. He was the guy who supposedly lived in that, room that had the butler, the dead butler. He was gone, though, by the time we got there. But this is the actual person. And he's trying to make a spell that undoes, illusions. This wall here, I'm confident, is an illusion. But I need to prove to him somehow that it's an illusion. I've already tried, like, pushing a rock through it, and you can push it through slightly. But I need to find the way the game expects me to do it. So let me talk to these gamblers. You go through your repertoire of attention-getting devices, finally deciding on a straightforward tap on the shoulder. This causes the recipient to suddenly drop the playing pieces he was shaking in his hand. He starts to protest, but when the other players begin to moan, his head drops to the look at the winning throw and he laughs.
That was my luckiest throw of the night.
Oops,
and I owe it all to you.
Crap. Okay. Other players reluctantly hand over the small white stones to the winner, which he accepts gracefully, then turns to you and says,
That was the luckiest throw of my night, and I owe it all to you.
Is he patting his butt? Dude, okay, like, your butt is amazing, but you could be a little humble about it. We'll go through this. I forgot to turn off voices. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Doing? Why, we're playing Runebone. It passes the time while we're waiting for the prince to decide what we're going to do. I was losing all night until you nudged me. That last throw made up for my entire losing streak.
Are you hot, or is it just me?
It's just you.
What are those stones you
What
won?
are those stones you won?
They're not stones. They're rune bones. We make them from animal bones. Each unique rune bone has an individual rune carved into it, but they all interlock. When you throw them down, they form a design. If the bones fall in such a way that they form a legal spell, you win, and all the other players must contribute one of their rune bones to you. If no recognized spell is formed, you lose the bones you threw. Once you run out of rune bones, you're out of the game.
Are these spells real? Can you cast them?
Are these spells real? Can you cast them?
Of course not. The runes are all fictitious. We made up the runes and the spells when we made up the game. Although when I created some of my runes, I snuck a peek at a few of the bookworm's old tomes. I wanted the runes to look authentic.
Since I was responsible for your throw, don't you owe me some of your winnings?
Since I was responsible for your throw, don't you owe me some of your winnings?
Sure, my friend. I guess you did bring me luck on my heaviest bet. I suppose I could let you have a few, just so you can practice a little at the game. If you get good enough, maybe we'll let you join in.
That's all. Thanks, pal.
No problem.
Alright. Cool. Let me turn off voices. I assume that the trick here is there is an actual spell there. So I can drop them. It's a small white hexagonal piece of bone. A rune has been carved onto its face. The dog continues to bark at the east wall, its ears pressed back against its head. Yes, I'm aware. There doesn't seem to be a suitable place to put the rune bone on the rune bone. Alright, am I supposed to attempt to create a spell with these? Balthazar is too engrossed in his research to pay much attention to the rune bone that you offer. He mumbles something like, "That's nice," then returns to his work. The dog, yeah, I know. I know, the thing is a thing. Can I cast Identify on these? Let's see. Identify. A non-spell. I'll compare these symbols with what I've got in a moment. Can I play with them? The gambler says,
That's yours, fair and square. No one's going to take it from you until you know the game better. It's not right to take advantage of a novice.
yes, okay. How do I practice playing, though? Tunnels? Other tunnels run off from the main cave. They, too, are filled with certain refugees. Can you teach me any spells? This is just one of my own books on magic. I'm trying to master one of the lost arts, illusion. Can you teach me any spells? I already did this. I'm afraid not. It takes a good deal of time to teach these arts to a novice. What's more, as a rule, I only teach my apprentices. You might want to get some exercise. Sitting there reading won't put meat on those bones. I have just enough meat on my bones, thank you. Reading is what I enjoy, and in doing so I have outlived all of my contemporaries. I wouldn't be surprised if I outlive you. Can I see your book? I'm afraid not. I only lend my books to colleagues and apprentices. You know how valuable they are. Each contains a vital piece of information. Damage to even one of them could delay or completely halt my research. Okay. Actually, let me go. They are safe, buried in a secluded spot. I keep them guarded at all times. They are invaluable and I won't risk damaging them. Why do you call them lost arts? That's the frustrating part of this research. All of the magic arts that I've been uncovering were once known and practiced by the ancients. I'm walking over already trod ground. If only more of the texts had survived, I could simply read about these spells, instead of having to reconstruct them from sketchy, half-destroyed notes. I already did this, right? Yeah. I already did this. Okay, so how do I... Should I assume that these four things combined are a spell? Okay, in which case, how could these possibly combine? So this goes at the top left. Let me kind of sketch it on a piece of paper real quick. I think I see how they go together. You got a pen nearby? Should have a pen nearby. Where'd my pen go? Oh, pen! Here's my pen. Okay. So I think it looks something like... I'll show you this in a moment. Let me just jot it down. And this goes up this way, and then up further to this piece. This one goes this way and circle. Okay, I think it's like this. Let me go to my spell menu and I'll show you what I see. Spell. No, not like this. Oh, these are actually different than what I've seen. Oh, okay. These are not them. Right? None of these are the same. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think any of these are the same. This one is... Nah, it's not the same. Okay, never mind. I can possess the dog. You trace the runes... Oh, sorry, wrong person. You trace the runes in the air and place your hand on the dog's scruffy fur. The magic swiftly takes hold. You stiffen as you feel your soul passing away. Everything goes dark. The darkness doesn't last long. The world fades back to the dusky gray tones that you've come to expect from the dog's eyes. Although you miss colored sight, sounds and smells are amplified to compensate. A bitter, sharp odor draws your attention to the east. Through the dog's eyes, you see a small tunnel that you missed before, running into the cave wall. Dry, stale air from the opening carries a disturbing smell, an evil smell. Yes, let's go this way. You feel something very wrong about the tunnel to the east. You cannot force the dog's body into it. Perhaps it has more sense than you. Smell. Something you can't identify, something evil and ominous wafts from inside the tunnel. It makes your hackles rise. Okay. Touch. Okay. So I know that there is a thing there. Have you noticed anything unusual about that cave wall to the east? Unusual? No. It's just a cave wall. One of many, actually. Why? What would you say if I told you that it was an illusion? I'd say, how can you possibly know that? Your brain can't distinguish reality from illusion. You are a higher life form, aren't you? That's just an assumption, mind you. I've looked at it through the dog's eyes, and it's not there. What do you think that means? You mean you possessed the dog, and he didn't see it? Yes, that would follow. The spell does not communicate with lower life forms, and by possessing the body of such a form, you would bypass the magic of the illusion. You say it was the east wall. It's an illusion. Imagine. I've been sitting this close to an illusion every day, eager for a chance to test my unravel illusion spell. I'll try it now. Balthazar wanders over to the cave wall. He touches it, even pushes it with all his might. With a questioning look in your direction, he waves his hand about, tracing blue glowing lines in the air. When he has finished the final rune, the spell floats into the wall. The rock flickers, then dissolves like so much mist. Beyond, you see a small crawlway stretching into darkness. It worked! It worked! This is exactly what my research needed. Now that I know the Unravel Illusion spell is correct, it won't take long to finish the Create Illusion spell. Balthazar dives back into his book and resumes reading with rekindled enthusiasm. We did it! Alright, we don't know what these rune tokens are for, though. So let's throw in a save. 37. We didn't even need them. The dog stays behind, bristling and growling at the tunnel. The air in this small hidden cavern is heavy and thick. Something happened here, something very evil. Spellbook? Robe. Take the robe. Your fingers touch the black material of the robe. It feels inexplicably cold. The frost runs up your arm, and soon your whole body begins to shiver. The rocks of the cave seem to take on a life all their own. They whirl and twist and become something totally new. You realize that you are seeing a vision of an entirely different place. You see a man dressed in a robe you touched. Although the room is dark, he is unmistakably Sartan. He stands in front of a gigantic stone spire covered with magic runes. His attention is focused on a large rune in the center of the spire. A nervous dwarf stands nearby, watching the man cast spell after spell at the rune. The wizard curses and yells. The blue fire strikes the stone, but without effect. Love that animation. It's like thumping his chest. Oh. Why? Finally, a particularly fierce spell actually affects the column. Its usually constant blue glow grows faint. With a triumphant shriek, the wizard commands the dwarf to approach the spire and break the rune. I like how he's shaking his hands in front of him. Like,
Yeah, strangle it.
the dwarf quakes with fear, but remains steadfast. He approaches the rune with a hammer and wedge held out in front of him. Whoa, dude, you okay, brother? Man, these animations are great. When he cautiously touches them to the rune, a massive explosion throws his body back like a rag doll. I want to see that again. He was just like, he's all like claymationing.
I'll kill you.
What's that? I want to watch this animation. He just destroyed the dwarf? The man shrieks again, but in frustration. He curses the dwarf's limp body for its weakness. The strength of the madness enters the wizard, and even while maintaining the spells that hold the spire's rune at bay, he simultaneously casts some mighty spell, too quick to memorize, upon the dwarf's corpse. A misty image of the dwarf appears, floating over the body. Its expression is one of pain and terror. It's as if something has taken hold of it in the manner of a rope wrapped around its foot, and is dragging it back to the corpse. When the spirit image has been totally subsumed by the body, the dwarf's eyes jerk open. The man in black screams at the dwarf to finish the task. Oh, these animations are amazing! Oh my god! Look at this! This is so cool! This game is amazing. Like, I can't believe how good this game is. Slowly, the dwarf drags himself to his feet, gathers up the hammer and wedge, and approaches the spire. He touches the tools to the rune again. Again, the magic reacts, but now the explosion only rips flesh from his bones, and somehow, the dwarf manages to stay his ground. 5 blows of his hammer force a chunk from the center of the rune to fall away. Immediately, the rune's glow vanishes, and all of the other runes on the spire grow a bit darker. The man in black laughs as he picks up the piece of the stone. Look at this guy. He's like, yeah! He admires the rock in his hand as if it were some kind of relic. He then... Wait. Hold on. Is this my rock? Because my rock has a little Kirby in it. Is the rock I have that the Sartan gave me the piece that was knocked out of this? He admires the rock in his hand as if it were some kind of relic. Then he turns his attention to the obvious hole in the spire's rune. With his free hand, he weaves an intricate spell that is too complicated to follow, and suddenly the rune appears to be whole again. The strange pair exit the chamber, leaving the spire seemingly whole, but much darker than it started. That's totally Zifnab. The scene shifts. Now you see the same man seated on a throne. He holds a scepter which has, as its headpiece, the same chunk of stone from the spire. I guess it's too big. Others in his court display obvious fear of their ruler and keep quite a distance from him. This man seems to prefer it. You see no sign of the dwarf. Another scene. The wizard is much older. He is handing the scepter to another, younger man whose face bears a close resemblance to that of the wizard. You can see the avarice and longing in his eyes, and the reluctance in the eyes of the wizard in black. After the younger man has snatched the scepter away, he takes no further notice of the older wizard, who walks slowly off. Now you see the old wizard in this very cave. He stands on the rock floor, alone. The madness in his eyes is overwhelming. He murmurs to himself for a while. You catch only the mouthings of a few words. They'll never find me, and must never bring me back, never. His hand waves aimlessly in the air, but then you begin to see the blue traces of a spell. Soon, the rune construct is completed. It flies into his body and explodes in flames. The wizard thrashes a bit, but in short order is no more than a pile of ash. Surprisingly, the robe he wore has been left untouched by the flames. Alright. Nothing happens for a while, then you realize that the visions have ended, and that you are looking at the same scene only thousands of years later. The robe lies in the same place, covering the ashy remains of the old wizard. Tentatively, you pick up the robe, but no further images haunt you. Yeah, can I wear it? You slip the black robe over your body. Although the back is rather torn, from the front you cut an imposing figure. Cool. Let's look around. The air in this small... Yeah, we already did this. Book. Read. Necromancy. A study of necromancy. Very cool. Alright, I'm gonna do this in my normal voice. Just to keep my voice healthy. I have been having troubles with it recently. And the weather is turning, and whenever the weather turns I get throat problems. And I can already kind of feel a little scratch. Let it be known by any who would read this book, who would learn of the dark practice of necromancy, that it is forbidden. Let the reader do so at the peril to his soul and to those of his brethren. This tome is intended for information's sake only. He who disregards this warning and undertakes to practice this discipline has committed a crime against his race, and at this time a crime punishable by death by order of the Sartan High Council. If this warning strikes you as too harsh, you are obviously not familiar with the after effects of this art. Simply put, for every person brought back from death, another of his race shall die untimely. This spell is tantamount to murder, therefore it is treated as such. Ah, so this is why everyone is dying. That must be the plague. Necromancy is literally death magic. It can be used to draw back the spirit of the dead and force it to inhabit the body it has rightfully vacated. This does not bring the dead back to life. Indeed, the body loses its ability to feel and heal its wounds. Eventually, even the best kept corpse will be useless. Countless accidents and daily wear will eventually exhaust its potential. And the spirit never quite grasps what has happened. It exists in a state of constant confusion. In its own mind, it is reliving its past. It replays events that it has experienced, despite different environments and the lack of other players and props. Some lose contact with this world entirely and live only in their created reality of the past. I have a create reality spell. But that is an extreme case. Most spirits can understand and communicate with the living. This is their only benefit. Resurrected corpses obey the living as well as they can, given their mental and physical limitations. In a situation where the living cannot function, at peril to life or health, a corpse can perform admirably. Necromancy was discovered by accident. A failed experiment to uncover the soul's destination after death unexpectedly provided the basis for resurrection. No one understands precisely what the spell does. The spell's results are understood, but where are we drawing the spirit from? What are we consigning it to? Why does another person have to die? And why only from the same race? These questions will have to remain unanswered, as all experiments involving use of the spell have been prohibited. The spell itself is as follows. Wow! This text should serve only to remind that the practice of necromancy has been condemned. By forgetting the art and its consequences, we risk that future generations will unwittingly follow our footsteps. Rediscover the discipline and repeat our mistakes. Look upon this text as knowledge, pure and simple. Knowledge never kills or destroys except in the hands of those who misuse it. Alright, we have learned a spell. Yeah. Remains? Can I resurrect the remains? Self-Immolation? Oh, that was his spell, alright. You cast the spell, but it fizzles on contact with the remains. Not only is it too little to bring back, but the spell works only shortly after death. Cletus has been dead for thousands of years. Yeah, as we suspected, that was Cletus. Okay. Alright, we'll talk with Balthazar. I just had an incredible vision when I picked up this black robe. What do you think it means? A vision. Tell me about it. You quickly recount the vision to Balthazar, who listens raptly. This is amazing. You have just experienced the life of our first dynast, Cletus I. It answers quite a few questions I've had about his rise to power and his reign. It also answers many questions about our current situation. How did this happen? Why did I see all of these things when I picked up the robe? I'm not exactly sure. It's possible that when Cletus took his own life, the robe became infused with his spirit. This happens sometimes, especially when the death is particularly violent and the victim is very powerful in magic. When you picked up the robe, what was left of Cletus, lying there for thousands of years, passed through you. Your mind interpreted this by showing you his memories. This is all speculation, you realize. Can you interpret the bit about Cletus's craft for power? I would be happy to. What would you like to know? Wasn't there a ruling council at that time? Could you tell me about it? The High Council once governed over all of Amarok. Excuse me. Cletus was a member. It democratically created laws for all Sartan and at one time the Mensch as well. When the Mensch woke the Sartan, the council was the body that decided on the course of action, to put a handful of the Mensch to sleep and wait for the interconnection. The council would have continued to rule if Cletus had not been so power hungry. How did he convince the council to let him disband it and institute a monarchy? He didn't have the political power to do that. No one did. So he required magical power to back his play. He made himself undefeatable with the scepter. No one dared to oppose him after he created it. It was child's play to institute the monarchy. He merely eliminated every possible opponent. Why did he do all this? I believe that, to be a member of Amarok's council, the only requisite was mastery of magic. This implied intelligence, but not necessarily sanity. Cletus was clearly insane, if not before his play for power, then afterwards. Can you tell me exactly what happened to the Colossus? The Colossus is the source of Amarok's magic. It is what warms the stone, melts the ice, and feeds water throughout the land. It was an unparalleled marvel, by far the greatest of the ancients' achievements. It contains so much power that it is easy to see why Cletus lusted after it. What was the rune that he was battling with? It was a containment rune. The spell was a cap for the Colossus' magic. It sealed the spells inside to keep the magic from flowing out so that the Colossus would last forever. What happened when he finally subdued it? Over a period of several months, Cletus wove an intricate set of spells that temporarily weakened the containment rune. When the structure had drained the rune of enough power, he had his dwarf servant carve a chunk of the rune away. It was a certain central line of the rune. Without it, the symbol was meaningless and therefore powerless. The Colossus' magic began to drain away. What did he do by removing a chunk of the rune? It was much like taking a chunk of flesh from your body. The magic sealed inside the Colossus started to leak out, like blood from a vital wound. Why did he do this when it would eventually destroy this world? Didn't he think ahead? It's true that, eventually, the Colossus would lose enough power to cease supporting Amarok. I'm sure Cletus must have known this. It's possible that Cletus was counting on the interconnection. He must have reasoned that thousands of years would pass before it would actually make a difference. Long before that, the interconnection would occur, and Amarok would survive on the energies provided from it. On that, I'm a little unclear as well. The interconnection is a little mystical to me, but it's obvious that the ancients believed in it. Perhaps they shouldn't have. Thousands of years have passed, and no interconnection has taken place. The Colossus is failing, and is taking our world with it. What did he do at the end, before he left it? Cletus was intelligent. He knew that people would see the Colossus with a huge chunk missing from the containment rune, and realize something was amiss. So he placed an illusion upon it. Now the Colossus looks normal, even feels normal, but the hole is still there. The rune is still broken, and magic continues to flow. Can the Colossus be fixed? That's an interesting question. I suppose it could. If the rune were reconnected, it would begin to function again. The spell will hold in the magic as it is supposed to. I don't know if the Colossus has enough magic left at this point to support Amarok anymore, but at least it wouldn't lose any more. The original fragment, if it were replaced, would do this. Actually, it wouldn't have to be the original fragment. Anything that had the missing line that would fit into the hole would reconnect the rune. The complete rune is the important element, not the composition of the rock. If something with the fragment shape were placed inside the hole, the containment rune would reactivate. I need to check something real quick. And we'll take a break too. Zipnap stone is unremarkable in shape, somewhat rough, but without sharp edges. It's fairly ordinary in appearance too. Some gift, a run-of-the-mill rock. Okay. It is just a normal rock. I thought it had like a line on it. But maybe we're gonna use one of these rune bones to fill in the hole. Anyway, let's take a break. We still got some more conversation with Balthazar here, but we'll take a quick break. See y'all in the next one. Peace.